guys, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Chirp. Today I have with me Karishma Ali, who happens to be the first, right?
I was the first. I mean, there's a lot of girls playing.
Yeah.
I actually don't like to attach this to myself.
Okay, I understand that. Okay, so she is our female footballer from Chitral, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and she has represented Pakistan on national and international levels. She has had a lot of successes in her football career, and today I'd like to explore her journey with her, as well as talk about sports for women in Pakistan in general. Hi Karishma, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Thank you so much for taking out the time and coming and having this conversation with me. So we'll just get into your life story. Let's talk about where you were born and where you were raised. Where did you get your early education? Yeah.
Well, I was born and raised in Chitral, and my early education too. My dad owns a school. I studied
over
in
there.
Chitral. Yes.
Okay.
I studied in Chitral until the 7th grade, and then I moved to Islamabad. Since then, I've been here. But yeah, pretty much grew up as a Chitrali girl.
In Chitral, yeah. How was that like? What was growing up in Chitral like?
You know what? I'm so grateful for it now that I look back at it. Is because when I was a kid, there was no technology, no network, nothing, right? So you were so close to nature, and you were so close as a community. It was just beautiful growing up, and not a lot of privileges growing up, which I think makes me appreciate the things that I have now and the things that I fight for, and it just keeps you grounded and humble, I guess.
Yeah, having that background.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved growing up in Chitral.
Do you have a lot of siblings?
I have 2 siblings, a younger sister, and the youngest is my brother.
Okay, right. Yeah, it's nice to grow up with siblings as well.
Yeah.
Are they much younger than you? Or?
They're actually, there's a 5 years gap.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up as the only child for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you like? What did an average day in growing up in Chitral look like? Like, what were your activities? What is Chitral like?
I mean, for me particularly, it was very different than the rest of the girls, I'd say, because my parents encouraged us to do healthy activities, like go walk or just go around and play around with friends and things
outside,
like that. Yeah, outside. Whereas for a lot of girls, starting as young as like 8 to 9, they are very involved in the house chores.
Okay.
They go to school, they come back, they help their mothers in the house, and मतलब गाय वगैरह रखते हैं, and they're taking care of them, and then घर के अंदर जो काम है. So for an average Chitrali girl, it was different. Of course, for me, it was very different. I used to watch a lot of movies even as a kid, and I used to just be an outdoor girl.
Yeah.
That was.
So why do you think that was? Why do you think your parents did this differently? Was it like, do you think it was conscious, or do you think they were just, they didn't care much for, their daughters doing indoor activity, chores and stuff? What do you think?
No, but I feel like at such a young age, I mean, it is okay to teach your kids to do these things.
Yeah.
It's important,
They're just skills, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like at that age, I don't think you should put a kid inside and make her cook. So I feel like my dad saw a lot of potential in me. I'm so grateful for it at an age where I didn't know my own potential. But he wanted me to be different. He wanted me to try new things. He wanted me to explore my potential. But he's always been like that. Even with my aunts, growing up, I remember he would encourage them to study. So he has this unique nature, and it's like I'm thankful to how he is.
Yeah. And I think like fathers play a major role in their daughters' lives, which can, enable them to do this or do that. Because a lot of the girls and women that have come on my podcast, a lot of them, they're like, oh, because my father used to encourage me, and my father used to be like that. And it just shows how important of a role, your father can play in your entire life, basically.
But what's sad? It's like, the mothers do it too. But in our society, it's like whether we like it or not, it's like the men that make decisions.
Yeah.
So eventually it leads to, if your father is encouraging, then of course you make it.
Yeah.
Just with your mother's support, I don't think you can get very far.
Yeah.
Again, I would not like to generalize. I'm sure there are amazing, single moms that have raised amazing kids. But agar aap society mein dekhein, to it's definitely the dads that, and their support that weighs more.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so when and how did you move to Islamabad then in 7th grade? Did your entire family move or what?
No, so my cousins used to live here, and I moved because my dad wanted me to get better education.
Yeah.
So वहाँ पे एक level से आगे इतना अच्छा नहीं था, quality education नहीं था वहाँ पे चित्राल में. So I had to move out. I came alone, and I used to live with my cousins at the age of, I think, 11 or 12. Since then I've been here.
And where did you get your schooling then?
I went to Roots.
You went to Roots.
I went to Roots for my O-levels, then I went to ICAS for my A-levels, then again Roots for my university.
Okay. And do you remember what that transition was like to leave Chitral, come to Islamabad? And also it wasn't just a change of environment or a change of city, but also like you left your parents and your family. So do you have memories of what that transition was like?
So for me, I think I was very comfortable moving away from my family, not because like they were terrible people, they were loving people, but because I remember when I was younger, when I was 9 or even younger, my mother went for her master's degree to Karachi, for her higher education, and then I was living in Chitral with my father alone, and even for sometimes you'd go and meet my mother, and I'd live with my grandparents and my aunt. And so I was used to living away from my parents, so it wasn't too hard. Other than that, it wasn't too bad.
Transition.
That was there, but for me, I don't know why I didn't. It wasn't like a cultural shock or something.
Okay.
Also because I used to travel to Islamabad before I came here.
So it wasn't like anything new.
No, it wasn't new.
And you felt like, you could fit in here and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So how did sort of like, so interesting, you said that your mother, she went for her master's, right? Was she a working woman? Did she ever work or?
Yeah, my mother was always a teacher.
Okay.
And then eventually when my dad built the school, she became a principal. And then, my dad has always encouraged her to continue with her studies, even though I think my dad is like less educated than my mother, if I'm not wrong. But he's always encouraged her to go and get her education.
That was the same case with my mom.
Yeah.
My father had her, get her enrolled for her master's program, and then he actually used to help her study for like her assignments, help her do her assignments and everything. Like he never got a master's, but like she did.
Amazing.
I can relate to that. So and then growing up, what was it that you wanted to be? बचपन में सबसे पूछते हैं बड़े होके क्या बनोगी? What did you have anything in mind?
So, when I was growing up, I had this question again, like a lot from people, okay, bade hoke kya banna hai? But I don't know, I didn't know the particular answer, but I always said I want to be different. And I also remember that since I was young, at that age, it's very rare where people, young girls see the wrongs in society and in the discrimination, because when you're growing up you see it's a normal way of life, theek hai, auratein aisi hoti hain, mard aisi. But I always questioned that. I was like, why are women like this, why are men like this? I'd go in certain families where women would not talk in front of the men, or they'd sit back, or ya khana serve karo, aap phir andar jaake baitho, apne liye alag khao. Like there was a big distinct difference. And for me it was always bothering, and I think that curiosity and that these questions led to the path of me choosing my own path. And but after I was 9, I knew I wanted to become a footballer.
Oh wow, okay.
And that's a whole different story. And to add to that, I had a foreigner teacher growing up in my house, and he used to live in my house, and basically he built the school with my father. He was from Holland, And so he basically, of course, being from Holland, like Europeans, they're football fans. He used to watch football a lot. But my dad was also into sports. So they would watch the, different matches. And then in 2006, we watched the World Cup together, and the FIFA World Cup in 2006. And since then, I just knew I wanted to become a
Right,
footballer.
so that happened way early.
Yeah.
Right, so this teacher, what role was he playing in your life generally? Was he like your personal tutor or teacher, or was he just, like your dad's partner in building the school, or what was the dynamic?
So yeah, he was my dad's partner in building the school.
Okay.
But then he was living in my house, so pretty much it was like, and he treated me like his own child.
Right.
Where
right.
like a lot of also my grooming comes from how he taught me and everything else.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, he opened your eyes to like football and everything in a way.
Both him and my dad.
Yeah. Okay.
Both. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, so at 9 you knew you wanted to be a football player. And is that something that, so interesting though, how did that thought come? So what generally happens is that it's very hard to visualize yourself or visualize a dream for yourself when you don't see people of your gender doing it. So what I'm saying is that when the representation is not there, a lot of times...
And it's much worse in Chitral because you were not even allowed at that point.
Right. So, you don't dream of a certain thing. It doesn't even occur to you because you haven't seen that being represented by your gender, right? What you're identifying with. So why do you think like how, you have to be very... sort of optimistic in a way, people would say naive in a way to think, this is something that I could do. Do you think that it was because of the environment in your home, which was just so encouraging or so positive that you wouldn't have to think twice before, thinking about, the fact that this is something I can do?
No, absolutely. Because growing up, like, I don't remember my father saying, ye nahi karo, wo nahi karo. And I don't remember my mom sitting me down and saying, oh, this is what a good girl does,
Right. Yeah.
So I think that helped me grow as a resilient little girl. Where I knew, of course, they taught me the wrongs and the rights and the ethical values and your, culture values, because, which are important. They manners, all those things they taught me, and then they knew that I'd make the right decision for myself, and they trusted me.
So teaching right and wrong doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's done in a way that stops you from dreaming.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So they said these are our values, keep them intact, and then do whatever you want. So they never stopped me, and I think that sort of gave me this vision of becoming whatever I want. I remember at a certain point I wanted to be an astronaut. Thank God that didn't move forward, but
okay. So then after moving to Islamabad and everything, how did then sort of football then happen?
Okay, so because I was, this crazy girl who wanted to become a footballer, mujhe yaad hai abhi bhi, when I first went to school, I asked them if there was a football ground.
Okay.
There wasn't really, but I remember they were, playing sports. But I was always into sports. I was always known as the girl who plays football in school. So I continued to just play.
So did you play with the boys?
Yeah, I used to also play with the boys. We used to play mixed. School mein aisa nahi hota tha. Yes, in tournaments we used to have our separate tournaments, but during school hours we used to play with boys.
Okay.
Or wo proper aapke shalwar kameez mein you didn't have a sports kit. So I didn't mind that. I used to just continue playing and then represent the school. फिर वहाँ से एक academy और कोई club के coach ने मुझे he spot me at a tournament and he was like, come train with us. Then I joined them for a year and 2 on and off, and then it moved on from there.
Okay. And so this was Roots?
Yes.
Okay, interesting, because a lot of the schools they don't, like for girls, they don't have football teams. So in a lot of the schools, it's like, oh, you know, they'll have like badminton or throw ball or volleyball for girls, but football and basketball bhi hoti hai girls ka, but football I've barely seen, right? So that's interesting that they had that and they encouraged that. You ended up at the right place.
I did. I think I would have
Imagine
switched.
going into a school,
I would have switched.
Yeah, you would have switched, yeah. And then, so then, I mean, did you like realize that you loved playing the sport, or were you interested in other sports?
With football?
And like other sports, were you interested?
Oh yeah, I've always been a sporty kid. I used to play volleyball a lot. I played and won a lot of, you know, volleyball tournaments, school maybe. Generally sports. I love sports.
You love sports, yeah. Okay, right. So then how did you then further pursue it? How did you sort of end up getting all the achievements that you have and the recognition in football? How did you end up playing on a national and international level? What was that journey?
So I think, again, like I said before, your background matters a lot. And when you know you're coming from a certain place where jahan pe opportunities nahi hai, and there's so many girls like you that are not getting the opportunity, and you have it, you try to make the best of it. So I remember when I was in school in ICAS, हमारा एक football coach होता था, Sir Wahid. अभी भी होते हैं मेरे ख्याल में, वहीं पे होते हैं. I used to tell him, I used to be like, sir, I need to train, I need to get better. और वो बोलते थे, मेरे पास ऐसा time नहीं है, स्कूल के बाद आप घर चली जाती. तो आप ऐसा करें कि you come early to school, so you come to school around 7 a.m. 8 a.m. classes start, so we can train. I was like, fine. And I used to literally, kids used to sometimes like make fun of me. They would look at me like, क्या पता नहीं पागल है, क्या करी सुबह 7 बजे मैं यूनिफॉर्म में जाके full training करती थी.
That's just so cute.
I used to work really hard.
Yeah.
And then from there international Jubilee games थे हमारी community के, और वो वहाँ पे I went for trials. I made it to Jubilee Games Dubai. And then I went on to represent Pakistan.
Okay, so that was like your first international sort of... Okay.
And then from there, I went to the AFL International Cup in Australia in 2017. And उसके बाद काफ़ी gap आया. But it's not about the athletes in Pakistan. That is then responsibility of who is managing up in the sports. Sports की boards में कौन है आपके, और आपके federations में कौन है. ये उनकी वजह से जो है एक लंबा सा गैप आया. But anyway, I also played national tournaments here in Pakistan. I won the first gold medal for our team. I wouldn't say that would be so bad in football, but our team, we won a gold medal for Army. And then in 2021 we went up to the semi-finals, लेकिन वहाँ से दोबारा से tournament बंद हुआ था. That's a different story. But yeah. But I've always continued to give my best. बहुत time ऐसा हुआ कि पाकिस्तान में ban भी लगा था football का, and I continued my training because I always
what was that about? Why?
Oh, that's a whole different rabbit hole. इतना लंबा वो है, लेकिन it's unfortunate that sports in Pakistan, and generally like a lot of things in Pakistan, we attract power mongers and people who just want to be there for power and for I don't know what,
fame
for
or
money. Exactly. That's sad.
The wrong intentions.
Always. Or sports में तो तबाही है. Sports में it's worse. No, other than cricket, it's like all sports are pretty much doomed.
Right.
तो football में भी ये हुआ कि we have had a lot of people who were in there for power and money. I mean, they pretty much destroyed football, and then there was like fight over the power. Right. And when these things happen, FIFA does not like it, of course.
Yeah, when it's political.
Exactly. So then they place a ban. And of course there was political intervention, which also FIFA does not like. So it's a whole different story. But again, it's all the bad things that happen here is why we were under a ban for a long time.
And how long was this ban?
So I think it was like for 2 years for a while, then it got unbanned, then it got banned again for 2 years, then we got suspended again for a few years. It's been on and off like that until last year.
Okay, until last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's really sad.
It's so sad.
I think in almost every other area, because of our, overall situation, so many of these things are affected. Like
Yeah.
you don't get anywhere in any category.
Yeah. But imagine the women's team played in 2014 last, and I think कुछ players ने 2-3 साल ही खेला होगा national team में, and then it was banned for 8 years or something.
Oh my God.
So for 8 years they were doing nothing.
Yeah.
उस टाइम तक आपका कुछ लोगों का करियर ही खत्म हो जाता है. They're like
obviously.
30-35 and they're like when they wake up it's like unbanned, like what do we do now?
Yeah, that's
you know
sad. Yeah.
it's just very unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. What was it like playing on an international level? What's that like?
I mean, it's the best feeling. I think any athlete, they dream for this. You know, more than money and fame, for athletes, it's always like representing your country is the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
Yeah. And did you feel like, you know, was it initially like an intimidating experience to, you know, go on an international, you know, field and, you know, play with international players? How did you personally feel about that?
No,
Did you see a lot of difference, or do you think that we're there too?
We have a long way to go.
Okay.
But I feel like overall it was no, it wasn't very intimidating or anything like that. It's always an exciting opportunity.
Right,
You're
that's
always
good.
so excited that I think the emotions that take over is just excitement.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. but we have a long way to go.
In terms of
where we are,
like skill-wise?
level, our
Okay.
level compared to other countries. And this is not because आपकी players less talented है या उनमें skills नहीं है. बाहर में भी अगर आप इंग्लैंड चले जाओ, आप उनकी ट्रेनिंग नहीं करो, उनके मैचेस नहीं कराओ, तो वो भी skilled or trained or well perform nahi karenge. It comes from giving them opportunities.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah, it's the lack of opportunity that is not letting you level up.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. And generally, what do you think of, like, in Pakistan, what do you think of the social aspect of, you know, women being in sports fields? What is your opinion on that? Do you think that culturally and socially it is, how acceptable it is, or how appreciated it is, or where do we sort of lie, you know, in that area?
So I'm like very blunt and honest when it comes to this, and
Okay.
because of that I get hate sometimes, but I don't.
Facts are facts.
Facts are facts.
Right.
You can't lie about it,
Yeah.
and if you can't, you know, speak about the truth, you can't fix it. You know, you can't fix about the
Agreed.
problem if you don't speak about it. So when I started playing football, my whole story got viral and famous and whatever you call it, is because of what I went through with everything, you know, in my journey. When I started playing, और जब पता चला था back in Chitral, a lot of the people, of course, were, you know, it was for them, it was like a cultural shock. I don't know what it was, but they were like, ये लड़की क्यों फुटबॉल खेल रही है, ये हमारे कल्चर को अब ख़राब करेगी, ये हमारे बेटियों को ख़राब करेगी, ये हमारा नाम ख़राब कर रही है, चित्राल का नाम ख़राब कर रही है.
Okay.
And it's very funny because if you look outside of that, it's like everyone's appreciating you, but they somehow think कि आप उनको बदनाम कर रहे हैं. तो you're like, आप ही बदनाम कर रहे हैं, आप ही मुझे बुरा भला कह रहे हैं, आप ही गालियाँ दे रहे हैं मुझे. So I went through a lot of time where I received so much hate, and I was young, and I started questioning myself at a point. I was scared for my life. I was scared for my parents' life at a point, because there were times when they put out, you know, my father's personal details, my personal details. I used to receive horrible messages, social media campaigns.
And this is from like Chitral mostly?
Yes.
Okay.
All of it was from Chitral.
Okay,
Or
okay.
you know, you're like 18 and you keep seeing your face with a lot of hate messages every other day on social media.
Okay, it
And
was
it's
like that.
It was much worse. You know, it was
Okay.
much worse. It was a point where I still need to find the source to this, because I remember reading this from a local news, I think it was Chitral Times or something, जहाँ पे literally there was a political meeting in 2018 जब मैंने NGO start किया था उसके बाद. Political meeting, like all these leaders of Chitral and including women, they spoke about my work in Chitral, and they all voted against it. So they were like, ye nahi hona chahiye Chitral mein. And it's like, you should do the opposite. You know, if the one little girl is taking a stand, do the opposite. What are you even doing?
Yeah.
So I think I didn't speak about this, but in 2018, I started an NGO. It was initially called Chitral Women's Sports Club.
Okay.
And it came from a belief that I knew that there were so many girls that were much more talented than me, and they deserved opportunities. And like I was as a kid, where I didn't wait for anyone to help me, support me. I didn't want to wait for anyone to come in and save and support these girls. I wanted to be the one to do it for them. And because I went through all the hate and the process, I realized that I need to take a stand. I took a stand for myself. I was blessed with a supportive family, and then I wanted to take a stand for these other girls and really just give them opportunities, because the government, the institutions failed us at this point. So then I was like, I want to start this on my own. But yeah, like I received so much hate, so much backlash, and people thought I was destroying the culture, and they were relating it to prostitution.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You know, it's so bad. It's like, for me, I had an encouraging, supportive family, but for some of the girls to call them prostitutes, their families read these comments, and they're, they stop their kids from playing, because honor is such a big thing in our country, and no one wants that to be questioned. So I went through all of that, but again, alhamdulillah, because of my family and because I've always looked past my current situation, I'm always like, okay, this is a situation for a few days, maybe a few months, it will be gone, and you have to look ahead and you have to keep working.
Right. So is the club still running?
Yes. So it was initially called Chitral Women's Sports Club, but we had to register with SECP, and SECP has this rule where you cannot name any NGO after a certain area. So you can't name it Pakistan, Peshawar, Chitral. I had to remove that. And they also had a problem with the word club. So जो lawyer मुझे help कर रहे थे, he was like, just to speed up the process, let's name it Karishma Ali Foundation for now, and then we can change it afterwards. And we did it under that. But in 2016, it was just viral that I was the only person from Chitral playing sports. So yeah, कोई भी general sports. But today, alhamdulillah, we have like around 300 girls that are playing different sports, from football to volleyball to cricket, and they all live in Chitral, and that makes me so happy.
Nice. Yeah. So basically, that is happening through your foundation.
Yes.
Through your That's nice.
Yeah. And even now, it's so unfortunate. It's like the government sees this; they're seeing that we're working. The least they can do is help us provide an infrastructure. That's really their job. अभी भी वहाँ पे infrastructure नहीं है, and the girls, because of the culture, they cannot comfortably play sports within the villages. So we literally, the first time when we held a camp in 2018, हमारे पास पैसे नहीं थे, because no one wanted to support a woman, a young girl who wanted to do something in sports for women, and that too in Chitral. So literally, with the help of my friends and family, I bought a few balls, I bought a few kits, I coached around 60 girls myself वहाँ पे चित्राल में. We literally had to walk 2 hours every day to reach this venue away from the villages जहाँ पे हम safely football खेलें. फिर 2 घंटे हम चल के वापस आते थे. But it's like, at this point I'm like, please, that's the least you can do, is provide. If you're not supporting them in their journey, and if they've built it themselves, they've fought the culture and they've changed so many things, the least you can do is provide them with the right facilities. So
it's interesting you said now there's like over 200 girls. 300. Okay. 300 girls playing different sports. How did that happen? Because how did you, like you said, in Chitral it was like kind of frowned upon, right? So how do you think their minds kind of opened up to the idea? How did those girls end up wanting to pursue these sports, and how did their parents allow them to take this opportunity that you were providing?
So interestingly, when I wanted to do the camp, I was really scared myself. But in 2016, I did like a pilot project thing where I went to my father's school, and just to see the interest of these kids, I hosted a 7 days football camp. और उसमें मैंने कहा कि जो खेलना चाहते हैं आ जाए, लड़के लड़कियां जो भी. And a lot of the girls showed up, and it was interesting because they showed up with their football kits. And I was like, kahan se mila? So either their brother or their dad gave it to them from somewhere. And so that made me realize that there are parents out there who are supportive of their kids. They're just scared to take the step.
Yeah, so they themselves are okay with it, but they're scared because of the people around them.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. And they want someone to take that initial step, so they can then have that confidence.
Yeah.
So then in 2018, I remember जब हम camp करा रहे थे, and I was printing this participation form, तो participants form जो था, तो मैंने सिर्फ 10 किया था, 20 मेरे ख्याल में किया था मैंने. I thought that they wouldn't show up. Yeah. I was so scared because I had taken, my friends in confidence. I taken some money from them, of course, and my parents, and I'm like, oh my God, if I'm not able to pull this off, it'll be very embarrassing.
Yeah.
So when I gave out the 20 forms, it's like in a day or two, I had 60 back. So I was so surprised. I'm like, ye kahan se aa gaye? So these girls used to go photocopy the form, fill it, and bring it back.
Yeah.
And then they brought it back to me, and I was so excited, but at the same time, it was a little scary because I thought 20 karenge to main sambhal lungi, main khud kar rahi hu.
Overwhelming ho gaya na.
I'm like,
responsibility bahut zyada.
Yeah, I'm like, how am I supposed to coach them? But I did, thankfully. जिस कम्युनिटी में हम कर रहे थे वो बहुत सपोर्टिव हैं. They're wonderful people. Again, like in Pakistan in general, they're very nice people, very good people, and then of course there's people that are trying to enforce their ideas onto others. So इसी तरह चित्राल में भी there are very nice people, very good progressive people that want good for themselves, they want good for the country, they want best for everyone. And then, of course, there is the conservative side. So we can't really generalize. So they're amazing people. And it was very encouraging for me when I saw these 60 girls because it gave me hope. Okay, there are girls that want to do it. And there are parents that want their girls to just follow their dreams.
And basically, a lot of people, they just want a proof of concept. So basically what happens is that when people see that, okay, this is if these girls are going out and they're playing that sport and then they start to see, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. This doesn't even come close to prostitution. Their eyes are then opened ke, ye to bakwas hai baki sari. Look, this is just a sport. And when it opens up, when their eyes open, when they see for themselves that there's nothing wrong with it, to phir aista khud hi sort of...
and I also had to work really hard in my own career and also just, in education and in sports both and try to get it ahead because I also had to prove something to these parents.
Exactly,
that, it's not just about just in the field. You can be great, you can be known and you can be respected for it. And I think that also sort of built confidence in them to let their daughters be a part of my activities.
It's like, some people in the start, they have to run so that others can walk. It's that you have to sort of pave that way. Yeah. Good. So you must feel really proud.
I'm so happy. And I feel like, a lot of people are like, what's your favorite achievement or what's something that you're very proud of? And I'm like, it's not Forbes, it's not Vogue, it's not this. For me, it's like to be able to see these girls see me as someone who gives them hope and to see me as someone, to probably change their lives and not directly but indirectly, as in give them the confidence to dream on, to be themselves, to be happy, just cheer on and just, find a safe space. That makes me proud and happy.
And what would you say that generally, you said, okay, there's obviously conservative people in Chitral and then there's some people who are more progressive. But when it comes to the environment in Chitral, generally, overall, is it more conservative?
Yes. Okay. I'd like to agree, and a lot of people agree on whether or not they like it, but jo conservative communities hai na hamari, or jo conservative, you can say, people in general, they basically have power on the rest.
Right.
So you will not see women out in the markets and they cover their faces, and you cannot see female without men. They have that power over the rest of the people. And the rest of them sort of live in, they're scared, to do anything. And of course your question also directed on all of Pakistan or Pakistan
Yeah, of
ka
course,
agar aap
yeah.
also dekh lein ki just because we have a women's national team doesn't mean we're super progressive and we support women empowerment. It's only in cities like Hunza ho gaya, aapka Karachi, maybe Quetta, Lahore, big cities jahan pe sports khela jata hai, and that also like in a very small proportion.
It's, like
Generally पूरे पाकिस्तान में नहीं
percentage-wise, so it's
खेलते.
very
Exactly.
low.
Generally पूरे
Yeah.
पाकिस्तान में तो नहीं खेलते. तो
नहीं.
आप ये नहीं कर सकते कि नेशनल टीम को का फोटो लगा के आप बोलें कि हम women को support करते हैं. नहीं भाई, ऐसा नहीं होता. You need
Basically,
to-
I would say that real support, like, उस दिन हम कह सकेंगे कि पाकिस्तान में औरतें जो हैं या लड़कियां जो हैं they're supported in terms of sports, or it's a very normal thing for this country when you see them out playing in the street
In the
just as much
parks.
as in the
In the
parks.
parks.
When you see them playing football like boys do in the parks, then then it's a thing in our country, then it's like normalized.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I like to be disciplined. I wouldn't say I'm perfectly disciplined. There are days where I completely mess up.
Obviously that's natural. Yeah,
But I'm someone like I like to wake up super early. I
Yeah.
want to exercise. I want to, and it's like I really want to, when I'm up at 6, I want to go running. I want
Yeah.
to go into the park and do my training, but I cannot.
You cannot.
I'm so scared, and it's like me being. Imagine for the rest of the girls and the women.
Yeah.
Then how exactly is there
not.
equality?
Yeah,
You
it's
can't say
not.
it.
No,
Yeah.
no. It's equal when it's equal for like the most common average
Yeah.
person in the country, because that is actually the majority.
And you know what's the worst
Yeah.
debate is these men sometimes, especially men, they say things like, "तुम करो तो सही, किसने रोका है?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
किसने रोका है? Like, look at the situation
Look
out
at the
there.
situation
We're
out
scared to leave our houses.
Yeah. Yeah, we're scared to leave our homes to do the most basic things,
Yeah.
let alone play a sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be so much like in the limelight.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, and especially recently, it's just been such a scary world out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so sad, but I would just, walk out of my gym to my parked car, and in that little walk, I would just be like freaking out.
I know.
And that's not a
absolutely.
normal, healthy way of like living, because in that time I heard so many horror stories. I
Yeah.
was just afraid for myself.
I mean, I bought gym में भी आप अगर औरतों को देखें, they come covered. Okay, औरतों को समझ आ जाता है. Even me and a lot of my friends, we try to wear something long that's like covered so that gym गाड़ी से gym का walk होता है 1 minute का. Even then we're like, okay, we want to feel safe.
Yeah.
We don't want to be stared at.
We don't want to be stared at. Yeah,
it's
just
very
want to
unfortunate.
blend
And then
in as
that
much as
environment, they
possible.
expect us to be Alex Morgan, international athlete, win Olympic medals. I'm like, create the environment first.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we don't mind women playing sports.
Yeah.
But when women play sports, it's just like
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's weird because they sort of put themselves into this weird spot where even if they're okay with something internally, they're not gonna allow their women or
No.
other women to do it because they
Exactly.
know what men are like.
And
Right? It's like they know what they are like.
and funny enough,
It's so funny.
yeah, funny enough, in Chitral when they
Yeah.
debate, when there are people that are supporting us, men out there, wonderful men from Chitral, young boys also that support us, तो वो आगे से डिबेट में बोलते हैं कि आप अपनी बहन को करने देंगे. And I love that some of these people are like, why not? Like, what's so wrong about it?
Yeah.
We are defending her because we believe our sisters can do the same. और ये उनको ना पता नहीं कोई गाली लगता है कि आप अपनी बहन को फुटबॉल खेलने देंगे. And yeah, it's just so unfortunate. And for women's team, like I told you, national team participated in an international event after 7 or 8 years last year. And it's like, men also wear shorts when they're playing football, and it's not allowed for men to wear shorts in Islam. So why are you only attacking the women?
Yeah.
Literally, like, instead of supporting all these people, like, why are you playing in shorts? Haram. Pata nahi kya jahalat, like very bad comments.
Yeah.
Even some of the journalists, they went up to, when the national team held a press conference, they asked them a question about shorts. And I'm like,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's
It's just so unfortunate.
I mean, I'm not surprised, to be honest, but still.
Remember, like, imagine fighting, the culture mindset, these, misogynists, and then you're also fighting not having enough opportunities.
Yeah.
And you have to somehow make it
About
But women are resilient.
Yeah. And it's sad that, like, the sport and their talent and their skill, it's like all reduced to the fact that they're wearing shorts.
Yeah.
Like, can we talk about the talent? Can we
Yeah.
talk about what they've done and achieved rather than the
Exactly.
fact that they did it in shorts?
Yeah. The things
That's
that they
just
have to
messed
think
up.
about. It's like,
Yeah.
हमने training भी करना है, we also have to go, but also our legs shouldn't show, but also we have to make sure someone doesn't, like, it's very stressful.
Yeah, it's very stressful. It's sad, actually.
It's very sad.
Yeah. So, let's talk about your achievements. Forbes 30 under 30, 2018?
19.
19. So, yeah, 19. So what was that like? How did that feel? I mean, that's a big achievement.
It is.
Yeah.
It is definitely a big achievement.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm really excited, but the media covered it really well. And I was very surprised. But again, it was an amazing, achievement. For me, again, I would like to say that for me, other achievements way more. But for my father, like, it was such a proud moment. Like, he was crying and was so excited. And I think that made me really happy. And that made me feel like, okay, for all the troubles that I've been through, for me, it was like that moment. And I also cried because for me, it was like years of troubles, torture, and all the bad things that I saw about myself. And now here I am. I made it to Forbes. It was like so relieving that I didn't give up. And this is for the 18-year-old or the 16-year-old me who didn't give up. The little brave girl from Chitral. So yeah, it was a very, very happy moment for me. And also I feel like it changed the perspective of so many people. And all of a sudden I saw more support from my hometown. And they would see me in the news every other day, headlines about me making it to Forbes. And that gave them the confidence कि यार आपके बेटे ही नहीं achieve कर सकते. Your sons are not only responsible for bringing that name to the family and that support, it's also your daughter who can do that. And I feel like that just strengthened the debate of the people that were supporting me. Okay, women can do something, girls can achieve things. So it was a very happy, exciting moment of my life.
And in that same year, you walked the ramp. So what was that about?
Okay, so that again,
and that was Paris Fashion Week.
It was Milan Fashion Week. It was Milan Fashion Week.
Yeah.
So I also run this small social enterprise. It's called the Chitral Women's Handicraft Center. And this comes from my business degree that I had, and I wanted to help, the women back home. I was like, what should I do to help them? And I've noticed them, working on this beautiful art of embroidery, and they work so hard and they make it so beautifully, but they're not able to sell it or promote it. And I wanted to support them. But more than that, I wanted to create a space where women could just be happy and get away from the stress of life, and just a group of women together giggling and just enjoying their work. That's how the center started. But then in 2019, I got introduced to Stella Jean, who is a very dear friend of mine. She's the Italian designer. And she basically wanted the Kalash and Chitrali embroidery on her dresses for the Milan Fashion Week.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so then, she designed it, of course, but we basically, yahan se produce hua through the Chitrali women. And it went to the Milan Fashion Week, and it was again, like, such a pinching moment for me. Like, why is this happening? I started something. I never, when I start things, it's always like good intention, small, and I want to help, but it somehow makes out so big. I'm like, kaise ho raha hai? But for the first time, I feel like Chitrali, generally Pakistan se is tarah ka art bahar gaya at the Milan Fashion Week, and it was covered by Vogue. It was covered by all these big magazines. And then also Stella invited two of the Pakistani designers. So they were the first Pakistani models to walk the ramp at the Milan Fashion Week. And it was just like all blessings. And
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So, and how was COVID like? Did that affect the football world at all?
It affected everything. It affected my work with the Handicraft Center. We were meant to do more work with Stella. For the football girls, we had such an international, exciting opportunity internationally for them. That got on hold. And of course, like our project stopped, everything stopped. Life had stopped for so many people.
Yeah.
So it did stop, and it did put us back a lot. And then we resumed in 2021, around 2021. But again, it was like a lot of struggles because it almost felt like you're back to A and you have to start all over again.
Yeah. Okay, so another thing that I'm interested in learning from you is, so what are some of the concerns that women themselves generally have when they're stepping into sports? What do you think? Like,
sports is like such a male dominant,
Yeah.
you know, what do you call it? Like, what is it?
It's a male dominant field. I guess.
Right? Yeah, field. Field is the correct word. Internationally भी है, लेकिन internationally अभी fight back कर रहे हैं. But even लोग पाकिस्तान में तो आप देखें, आपकी पूरी sports management सारे मर्द, आपके सारे कोचिंग मर्द, आपके सारे जो दूसरे स्पोर्ट्स के जो छोटे टीम्स हैं उनके अंदर मैनेजमेंट में मर्द, सब मर्द हैं, ठीक है. And then you have like women stepping in, and in our culture a lot of the topics are taboos. There are so many, you know, these are like uncomfortable topics, but even like comfortable things, women are not confident enough to go up to a coach and say, I want to go to the bathroom, you know, like as simple as that.
Yeah.
So are we training our, you know, male staffs, our coaches within, you know, these clubs, within these teams to create a friendly, to create a safe environment for women and these young girls, especially if they come from villages, you know, they come with this mindset where they're like told to hush and not speak out for anything. Their rights बहुत दूर की बात है, basic needs के बारे में भी नहीं बोल सकते कुछ लड़कियां. So many times I've seen this, you know, and it's like all male coaches. Then I'm thinking sometimes, I'm like, do girls get to openly discuss their periods? We need to understand that girls, women and girls have different bodies, and we react differently when it comes to sports. And during different cycles, during different situations, we perform differently.
Your energy level is not the same. Like we don't have testosterone, right? Like we have different hormones, so we're like up and down all the time.
Exactly. So imagine like if girls are not able to discuss this, and this is something I feel like I'm going to, I already do this. We hosted a football coaches workshop last year where we, you know, emphasized on the importance of a safe environment, safeguarding of kids, young kids, and was also a safe environment for girls. And I want to do this more often where I want to educate, because also it's a male dominant field, so we need to educate the men if we want the girls to get far, and but also want the girls to be you know, open about their situations and feel comfortable. And if you see, for all my life's career of, you know, for all my career of playing football, when we talk about a football kit, it's always like a shirt, shorts, socks, and that's it. No one speaks about the sports bra. The sports bra is such an important part of a women's sportswear. And so I know that a lot of the girls that don't play in sports bras, and it's very uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable,
men don't understand this, but it's very uncomfortable, and you can't perform, and you're shy, and a lot of the times girls, you know, you can't sprint, you can't do certain movements.
It affects your performance.
Exactly. It affects your performance overall. And so we started this campaign for our NGO because we want our girls to grow up confidently and play sports confidently. We started a drive for sports bras. Thankfully, we got reached out by Interloop and a few, you know, donors that donated, and we distributed around 250 sports bras for the girls in Chitral, but we also have produced some for the girls in Quetta. We're trying to reach out to these areas where it's needed most. Maybe in the cities, a few of the girls can afford one way or another. But we need to normalize this. We need to understand these situations, that if we want the girls to really perform, like really, really perform, then we need to take care of these small things. Actually, big things. They're not small things, but we just make it seem small, and because it's not discussed.
It's not discussed. Just because, you know, like वही बात है कि because they're so male dominated, it's like these things just, it's like pretending like they don't exist when they do, and they're very much real and they're very important, right?
I remember once it was, I told my coach, I was like, I couldn't open up. So I said, I was on my periods and I had to go warm up. I said, I cannot do it, the same way. And he got so mad. He was like, "Kyun nahi kar sakti aap?"
Yeah.
And he was just like, how do I tell him?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, if that's me, after all the education I've received and all the freedom, imagine the girl that's coming from the village.
Yeah, and it's so important. So, I had a personal trainer at the gym, and he's male, right? So I was on my period, so I was not very comfortable that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just told him, like I just said, I'm a little bloated today, or I might I might have low energy. But he was smart enough to understand what the problem is, right? Like I didn't even have to say it up front. And then later he just kept asking me, listen, are you comfortable jumping today? Are you comfortable doing the squats today? Or should I change the exercise? And that sort of, it's just sensitivity towards,
Exactly.
where I am at the moment.
And it's such a relieving feeling for the women. Like, if I can tell my coach I'm on my periods and he understands, oh my God, I don't have to come up with excuses where I tell him I have a heart attack or something, just to avoid going to football.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these things are very important.
Yeah. Like, otherwise you just have to like lie, make up a lie, or
Exactly.
like, what can I possibly say? Yeah. It's another added stress, to be honest. Yeah. So, Karishma, is there anything else that actually, wait, I want to ask you, I don't know how I kind of skipped that bit, but after, like, I guess, where did you go for like university?
So because of my work with the NGO, and I did a lot of traveling, I was also part of the Prime Minister National Youth Council, and then for them we had to travel to different meetings and activities, but also for myself I had a lot of traveling. And so I understood that I needed something more flexible. And जो पाकिस्तानी आपकी universities are, they're very particular about how many classes you attend and all of that. I could possibly not attend. So then I went to Roots, and I did their, they have this University of London international programs.
I know, yeah.
Amazing, because the thing is, the quality is much different, even if you don't take regular classes, but your exam, it comes from there. So it's a thorough process. I did my university from Roots.
And you did BBA?
BBA, I did in business and management.
Yeah, okay. So, and why did you opt for that?
Again, this is like, I don't know, I was so interested in business. I've always been. O-levels bhi maine science chhod di aur maine business liya tha O-levels mein, and my mother was so disappointed because my mother tried every source, it's like everything she could to try to get me back to science. She was like, at a point she was like, आपकी टीचर बोल रहे हैं कि आप नालायक हो गई इसीलिए आप बोले. But my dad was like always supportive, so he was like, no, just do whatever you want. So since then I've just been studying business, even though that's also pretty rare, because Chitral mein it's like science is such a big thing and everyone wants their kids to have doctors. But that's so sad because that stress has led to Chitral being like very notorious for having the highest suicide rate, and this is amongst the youth, just by the way.
Really?
Even now recently, हमेशा exams के आसपास या results के आसपास you'll see a lot of kids committing suicide, just jumping into the river.
Oh my God.
They find that
I did not know this.
They find that an easy escape from life because they're forced into doing something they cannot. You can't possibly have all doctors.
No.
You can't possibly. I was never an A-star kid.
Yeah.
Okay, but I was an average kid, but I also knew my skills. I took both of them, and look where I am right now.
Yeah.
And that is something parents don't understand. They believe the only way to success is getting the best grades. The best grades, and like in their minds, everybody just wants their children to do that one noble profession, which is being a doctor. And if you look, like doctors are really struggling in Pakistan.
Oh yeah,
like
I know.
You're a doctor?
No, I'm a dentist. But
okay,
yeah, I know.
But doctors are really struggling, and this is something we need to again educate Hopefully with the rise of technology and network there, people can learn more from the internet. पहले ऐसा नहीं होता था. But yeah, in 2018, I think it was 2018 when Chitral became like the place with the highest number of suicide rates.
God.
And this
is news to me. This is news to me. Yeah.
So this is something that I'm also, this is also a big part of our activities. हमारे जो NGO activities is not like a football camp or football training. We also include, training on leadership. We also include training on, menstrual health, and we also include training on mental health.
Yeah.
So last year हमने जब हमारा camp था, we did an art therapy because these are young kids, right? They cannot possibly be like this. These are my emotions and speak out.
Yeah.
But through art, they were very expressive, but it was like some of it was really dark, and it was surprising to me. I'm like, these little girls, they look so happy and joyful, but they are so stressed. And it comes from family, from the society.
So many factors. Yeah. Okay, so Karishma, is there anything that you want to add, you want to say at the end of this conversation, something you had in mind?
I really don't know. I'm just someone who is always optimistic, and even though the country is going through probably the worst situation ever, but I love this country so much, and I feel like, all the good people, I know it's hard for all the good people that are doing wonderful work, but just continue doing the work, and we possibly could not live here if all of them decided to give up on their work. So for them, like, continue to work, and for the, like,
in whatever capacity,
the country needs it really bad. And I really hope the country comes to a place where we stop judging women for doing the little things and create a space where they can go out and work, because हमारा population almost 50% मर्द औरतें, it's like same proportion. Then how do you expect to develop as a country? You don't have oil, you don't have nothing, no resources. You have,
and then you're like not letting your women be productive in any way.
So get them into the economy, get them into the workforce, get them involved, and that's the only way forward. And that's what I really hope for, inshallah.
All right, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for having this wonderful conversation with me. I really enjoyed it. I hope that you did as well. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Happy Chirp. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that there was something you learned from it. I hope that you got to know Karishma, something about her. Please leave a comment below if there's something you want to say or you want to add. I'd like to read them. And don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Allah Hafiz.